Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Black Monster Cup. We're here at our semi-finals between SK Prime and Dark Passage. We've just finished game 1 and SK Prime were looking incredibly strong. We're going to be heading straight into game 2 if you've only just joined us. My name is Munchables and casting with me is Osigalus. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. That last game was really one-sided though. SK Prime looked so very strong. And I was really, you're not meant to pick sides as the caster, but when you see your first KO jungle on 4.20 in a competitive game, I will admit it, guys, I did kind of pick. I wanted to see that do well, but unfortunately it didn't do very well. We're into a new game, and, not exactly a respect band coming out for it yet.
No, we've not seen that come out, and I mean, it didn't do incredibly well, but just before we move on to the second game, just really want to quickly say, for that last game, I want to name an MVP. I've got to give it to Barney D. I think his death sentences that game were absolutely top tier. Just landed death sentence after death sentence. And I mean, Belistraz felt the wrath of that in that bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, honorable mention to Taiki for sure, because he comboed with the Barney D really nicely. Like, they kind of duoed into a lot of those situations, but the Barney D's hooks were just on point. I can't think of any off the top of my head that missed, and every single one resulted in something being burned for the enemy, or a kill, or like an objective. They were just really good. Definitely MVP for the game 1, Barney D. We'll see if he can do it again 2 games in a row. It's a tall order to actually get MVP twice, because me and Munch are harsh critics, but we'll have to see. Looking at these picks, though, we do see Gnar, Syndra, Zed being banned out on the side of Dark Passage, Warwick, Irelia, and Lissandra being banned out on the side of SK Prime. So giving the respect over to Godbro's Syndra makes a lot of sense, and not wanting Elwyn to get Irelia with the first pick that Dark Passage now have on blue side also makes a lot of sense. We are going to see the Pantheon locked in for their team. Crystal's going to be on that. Pantheon's one of the champions we've been seeing doing so well in 4.20. Does not surprise me at all to see that getting picked up. Obviously, one of the coolest things you can do with him is get that solo dragon kill at level 2 or 3 without even taking any damage.
Yeah, I really like this Irelia ban as well coming out, obviously. SK Prime going to be on the purple side this time. They don't want to allow that to be first picked against them because it is an incredibly strong champion and not one that they want to be dealing with. So going to be locking in that Maokai, and we saw this yesterday in the LoLPL League. We're going to see Azir locked in.
Yeah, Azir is one of those champions that, at the very least in the BMC, we haven't seen him picked and banned that frequently. But in a lot of other amateur tournaments, he seems to be like a priority pick or ban. So he's finally made his way here. Nara's going to be playing that in the middle lane. Unless we see like a top or support, it's unlikely in any case. But, he's a really interesting pick because the things that he does are quite varied, right? So normally if you got a champion who's really good at zone potential, their DPS isn't that high. Look at someone like Lux, right? Excellent at zone potential. She's got bursts though. That's why you're afraid to walk into that Lucent Singularity. She's going to combo you with the Final Spark. Compare that with Azir. You don't want to walk near his Sand Soldiers because they're going to hit you rapidly. Azir gets attack speed based off of his cooldown reduction. When he gets 40%, he is hitting so quickly. And he actually provides tons of DPS whilst also providing zone control. It's a unique combination. It's not one that we see that frequently. He's also got a lot of potential for pushing. The Sand Soldiers can shove up, and you can use your Q to stab people in the backline, do a lot of poke. You've got very good at disengage because of your shifting sands. Emperor's Divide is great when you're sieging. And Arise, the ability that conjures his Sand Soldiers, can actually be used on turrets. You can directly cast a spell on turrets to deal magic damage to it based on your AP. That's crazy, especially once you get some cooldown reduction.
Yeah, and it means that he has that power to siege down the turrets, and as well, because of his CDR scaling with his attack speed, while he's using his spell to damage the turret, he can also be attacking that much quicker than a lot of mages would be able to. So incredibly good at sieging those towers down. We're now going to see both bot lanes going to be locked in. Well, I can see Corki being hovered. I would assume that's been locked in now. And we've got, so again, Corki Thresh versus Janna Lucian. However, this is the first time I've seen Steel back on Lucian. He's usually the one on Corki.
Yeah, he has played Corki in most of the games we've seen him in recently, and it's going to be a bit of a change going on that Lucian. If you look at the lanes, it's funny actually, it's exactly what we were talking about. When you see Lucian, you see Janna or Nami. When you see Corki, you see Thresh. Same lanes, same exact matchup, and this is one still that can go either way. But if we look at some of the other tournaments we've cast recently, like LoL Pro League, for example, the Lucian Janna lane was really favored in that particular tournament. So we'll have to see if Lucian Janna can make some big waves in this tournament as well. Some of the other picks have been locked in now, finalized. Both teams have got their final loadout. We've got Jax in the top lane for Dark Passage. That's an interesting one. It's not something you traditionally see being picked up against a Maokai. But if he gets a little bit of items behind him, I could see that working out pretty well. He's not going to be damaging Maokai through the use of his spells necessarily, which means he's not going to be getting lots of stacks of his passive, lots of free heals, and you also might not even be able to get your passive off if he counterstrikes it and dodges it.
Yeah, we'll have to see how that one pans out. I mean, Elwind is going to have a bit of a hard time in that lane in the early game. Obviously, Maokai, bit of a lane bully, very tanky, has a lot of sustain, and Jax doesn't really do much until, as you say, he gets a couple of items behind him. We'll have to see how that pans out. One thing I'm interested to see is Barney D picking up this Janna obviously did absolute work last game playing Thresh, but this time we have Velistraza on the Thresh and Barney D on the squishy champion that can get hooked. So we'll see how that one pans out. I'm interested to see if we're going to get Velistraza getting some revenge in this bot lane.
I can't wait to see it either. Guys, we are about to head into our second game of the semifinals between SK Prime and Dark Passage. SKP are up one game right now. If they win one more, they're into the finals of the Black Monster Cup. It's a huge, huge game for them. It's a huge game for Dark Passage, and we're about to be into it. We'll be back after the short music break.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Black Monster Cup. This is going to be our semi-finals between Dark Passage and SK Prime. SK Prime taking game one quite convincingly. We're going to be seeing both teams heading onto the Rift. This time we're going to be swapping around in the bottom left corner on our blue side. We're going to be seeing Dark Passage. We've got Elwind in the top lane playing Jax. We've got Crystal in the jungle playing Pantheon. We've got Naru in the mid lane on Azir. Padden in the AD carry role on Corki, and then Velistraza on the Thresh in that bot lane.
And on the top right side of the map, on the red team, we do have SK Prime. They're one game up at the moment, one game away from the finals of the Black Monster Cup. And in that top lane, we've got BMC on Maokai, Taiki in the jungle on Elise, Godbro in the mid lane on Jace, and in the bot lane, we've got Steelback in the Barney D on Lucian and Janna.
Yeah, so if you've only just joined us, my name, of course, is Munchables, and casting with me is Osigalas, but we're going to be heading straight into this game. And interestingly, we saw a lot of poke coming across in that mid lane. Godbro actually tanked a tower shot, and a nice little play by Crystal stopped him going back to base, and it's going to mean that he starts that lane with a little bit less HP than he would like.
Yeah, it's actually quite a big deal in this matchup between Jace and Azir, because Azir is so good at applying some poke and pressure early on with those Sand Soldiers. However, Godbro has decided he's not going to be conservative with his mana. He's just going to try and use a Shock Blast, shove out the wave as much as possible, and deny Azir the chance to go for the harassment, rather making him focus on that CS instead.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Obviously, Elwind doing a nice little trick. It's a lesser known trick that you see sort of Jax mains doing that a lot of other people don't get, is your counter strike builds up damage the more auto attacks you dodge to a maximum of 5, but this includes minion auto attacks. So what you'll see Elwind doing this game, I just saw him do it a second ago then, is he will auto attack BMC once so that the caster minions will aggro on him, proc his counter strike, he'll dodge a few auto attacks, and that'll increase the damage that the counter strike does when it procs onto BMC.
Yeah, it is a really nice little technique that you can do to get a slight edge in lane, and that's what it's all about at the top levels of play, making sure you get those little edges that put you in front of your opponents. Bot lane, Velistraza just missed a hook. I think at this point Barney D's one up on him.
We'll have to see if that does continue as a theme throughout the game, or if Velistraza is able to pull it together and get his revenge on Barney D for last game. I mean, Barney D last game, I mean, we gave him the MVP. He did an absolute incredible job.
Imagine if Velistraza got MVP this game.
I know, yeah. I hope so. I hope that happens. Just, A little bit of me wants Dark Passage to win just because I really, really want there to be a Game 3 of this series. It's going to be incredibly close, I feel, unless we see SK Prime doing as strong as they did last game.
Ooh, mid lane.
In this top lane, Elwind is doing a good job to pull ahead a little bit off BMC, but BMC happy to trade that damage back, but he's looking incredibly low on mana right now.
Elwin needs to hit level 4 before he can properly trade. Getting a little bit of health and mana back from leveling up there would let him go in, but Taiki knows that Binsu is a target right now. He's going to head up to that top lane, actually deciding to turn around at the last second. I think that's a good decision. I don't think Elwind, as low as he is going to try and jump into Binsu, especially when Binsu had so much regeneration. Obviously, both of these top laners started Flask and Health Potions. You know, by the time Elwind hit level 4 and got some regeneration, Binsu was also going to be getting that regeneration. So, difficult for them to actually commit to anything. However, Binsu is burning through his mana a lot faster than Elwind. This could still be a potential lane that Elwind could make something happen in.
Straza looking to go aggressive, misses both the Flay and the Death Sentence, though. It's not looking good for him right now. And I mean, SK's bot lane doing just fine down here. They are slightly behind in CS, however. We do see a 6 CS advantage coming up for Dark Passage, and we see Crystal is hovering around there. There isn't a ward in that rush. They don't know how long he's waiting there for, but they do have a ward on Velostraza. They know he's going to go for that hook if he can.
This is such a time commitment by Crystal, and if you look at the way the lane's pushing, it's actually pushing in favor of Dark Passage. So committing to this for so long is a really weird decision, because unless Steelback and the Barney D make a conscious effort to actually push that out faster than the natural push of the minions, it's not going to go anywhere. Crystal won't be able to go in. I don't know if I like that decision by him to spend so much time down there. It's actually meant that Taiki is a level up on him, and Pantheon needs to do stuff in the early game. He needs to have an impact. Otherwise,
we see Taiki
gets
down into the bot lane. That's going to be Velostraza knocked up by the Howling Gale. He does manage to get a flight onto Taiki. Taiki takes a big chunk of damage, but he's able to repel away to the enemy minions in the middle of the lane there, and he's going to be able to get away just fine. No summoner's burn for either team, though, there, despite bit of a clash, but now Barney D actually gets caught up by the Death Sentence, but he's going to be more than happy to just shield that one away.
Yeah, I think Velostraza and Padden actually backed away because they assumed that he was baiting for Taiki. In actuality, that's exactly what was happening, so really nice read by them. Crystal has now come to this bottom lane again. This time, better chance. The wave's pushed up.
Yeah, he does get a good chunk of damage down, though, still back onto Padden, but we see Barney D gets locked up, takes a lot of damage, but now Crystal getting minion blocked there. Gets onto the lantern, but a beautiful read by Taiki, predicts where he's going to go. Crystal Meth getting caught by that cocoon, and that's going to force the heal and the flash out from Dark Passage, but teleport was going to be used by Binsu, but deciding to cancel that one in the end. He's going to head back up to the top lane.
Yeah, actually, Elwind also started his teleport cooldown and then stopped it, baiting Binsu into doing the same thing. Overall, no one really came out ahead of that because they both used the teleport, both canceled it, both have the same cooldown on it. But I suppose if there was a dragon play that they think they're already going to be ahead of, regardless of top lane assistance, that is actually kind of a neat little trick that Elwind might have done consciously. It's very unlikely, though. I'm just trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. But in that bottom lane, I just want to talk about how amazing that cocoon was from Taiki. It's really hard to make the read on the lantern like that. You have to... It sits there for a while. It could be any point at which, it's clicked on and Crystal decided to take it. So by actually predicting where he was going to arrive and when, is pretty high level. It was a really nice job by Taiki, and it actually resulted in Crystal's flash being burned. Especially on a Pantheon, that's really bad because you might need that to make plays as your only melee. You can't keep hitting someone from a long range away.
Yeah, we'll have to see if he's able to get that to work for him. Both of these junglers right now going for the Trailblazer item, and I mean, we generally see that Ranger's Trailblazer on most junglers at the minute. It's very consistently good just for farming up through the jungle. Barney D and Velostraza having a little bit of a trade there in the bot lane. Barney D going to be able to dodge out from that hook though, and across the board we're seeing this game being fairly even. We do have a slight CS lead coming out in this bot lane. Corki Nearly 10 CS ahead of his opponent, but we do actually have a big wave in favor of Steelback, and Bellistraza actually taking a lot of damage here. There's the Culling coming out. Nearly goes down. The Howling Gale is going to knock him up. Can he flash for this one? A nice snipe through Padden there. Picks up the kill onto Bellistraza.
Piercing Light taking down that kill. Really nice job there. It's one of those things that only the highest level Lucians do, where you aim at a target behind the target of your Piercing Light in order to snipe them down. It's really difficult to do. Steelback pulled it off beautifully there, and, you know, getting the first blood onto him. SKP looking fairly strong right now. Top lane, there's a flash engage. Yeah,
the flash twisted advance onto Elwin, gets the double stun, but beautiful flash, dodges out from that cocoon. Taiki trying to dive this one. There's the venomous bite, but the leap strike onto the minion. Can Elwin get away with this one? Yes, he can. Taiki deciding not to chase for that one, and 2 flashes burned for 1 there. Nice play by Elwind.
Really nice play by Elwind, actually, and Taiki, as a result of how much time he's committed to that too, isn't going to be able to do much for the next little while whilst he regenerates some health to a lot of tower shots. This might be a good opportunity for Crystal to go for the dragon. We do see the pings coming out from Dark Passage. Are they going to be able to get this though?
Look at the damage coming down onto Padden every single time that shield is available. Steelback will just jump forwards with his relentless pursuit, land that piercing light onto Padden, and just that combo on its own deals a massive amount of damage.
Yeah, it does deal a ton of damage. It's one of the reasons why Janet is so good. Not only is it a great defensive spell, but it doubles up as an amazing offensive spell. The Eye of the Storm is so good. And Steelback, you know, he's starting to pull ahead a little bit now in CS. There is a wave here for him to take, but if he goes for it, you can bet that Steelback's going to be there to put some harass down. So, at some point, Padden's going to have to go back if things keep going the way they are. He doesn't have any regeneration items. Thresh does not have any sustain, or provide any sustain, rather. So, if he keeps landing this harassment, Steelback is going to pull ahead eventually. Looking in this middle lane, Godbro is actually starting to pull ahead, which is really interesting, considering the fact that past 6, you'd expect Azir to be doing better with the boon that is an ultimate, rather than Godbro, who just has that transformation.
Yeah, I guess on the other side of that as well, you have... We've seen Godbro already go for some magic resist. He already has that Hex Drinker, so that's going to mean that all of Naru's sort of harass is not going to be as effective as he'd like it to be. And as well, that ultimate is only really useful in an all-in engage that Godbro goes for. And so far he's not been going for that, but we're going to see Crystal coming down. A nice Howling Gale, and followed by the Monsoon is going to completely negate that engage. The TP channeled but then cancelled by BMC, and a beautiful play by Barney D to just negate that engage.
Elwind did not burn his TP this time. He is now ahead of a TP. BMC, that is a very good opportunity for a dragon. We might not see it immediately, but within the next 2.5 minutes, whilst teleport's on cooldown, we will very likely see Dark Passage try and make that work. Elwind, in this top lane, he's working towards his Triforce. And you know, this is actually really cool. Last game I was talking about the fact that Irelia and Corki was a really cool combination because they both hit the power spike at the same time. Well, Jax plus Corki is actually the same thing. He's also going for that Triforce. He's also going to get it at around 15 minutes if he's having a good game, and at that point, going down for a dragon fight is going to yield the same results, say a one-team fight.
Yeah, we're going to be seeing SK Prime are clearing out all of the vision around this dragon area. They're looking like they want to make this dragon play before Elwind has the chance to abuse that teleport cooldown. And actually, Elwind has used the cooldown on his teleport. I believe he went back to base and then used that to come straight back into lane. So
wow.
With that on cooldown, this is going to be an even fight for this dragon.
I guess BMC was just applying a little bit too much pressure for Elwind to deal with. He didn't feel like he could teleport down whilst he was low health. Decided to go back to base, but didn't want to lose minions to the tower. It's actually... It makes a lot of sense for a Jax in particular to do that play. Although, hang on, because bot lane...
Yeah, Crystal Meth could be in a lot of trouble here. He's going to be able to get saved, though. Naru with a really nice ultimate, but now he's put himself on the front line. A nice Lantern by Bellistraza going to save his teammate's life. And despite fairly poor positioning at the beginning of that fight, Dark Passage managed to get away without even burning any summoner spells there.
Yeah, one thing that's really nice from the team combination of Dark Passage is two things. Firstly, they've got Emperor's Divide, and secondly, they've got Dark Passage. Both of those let you be very loose with your positioning because you can reposition easily. There's an engage though.
Uh-oh, we're going to see the man drop going down. Taiki already incredibly low. He's going to use that repel to survive. Naru going to be the first casualty of that fight, but both AD carries now picking up an enemy. And now Godbro is trying to chase onto Meth. I don't think he'll be able to get away. No, he won't. That's 2 kills coming across for SK. A nice fight for them. And I mean, it looked like that was going to be a perfect fight for Dark Passage there, to be honest. But fortunately, not going their way in the end.
Yeah, Crystal nearly took out Taiki with the spear, but the repel blocked it. And as a result of that, Taiki got another rotation of spells off to quite a lot of damage to Naru, and they weren't able to snowball the fight because Crystal had to just flash away into the enemy jungle. But revisiting what I was talking about earlier regarding Elwyn making the decision to teleport to lane rather than try and assist his team at Dragon, actually makes a lot of sense because Jax is one of the hardest scaling carries in the late game. He needs every point of CS that you can give him, and teleporting to a lane when you're about to lose a wave or two to a tower versus teleporting to a dragon that doesn't give you any gold on 4.20 but rather just gives you a little bit of AD and AP that you can potentially get later. I actually think there's a good argument to be made for Elwyn's decision there.
Yeah, I'd have to agree, and I mean, if we see BMC teleport down at any point and Elwyn just stays up in that top lane, he is going to be able to get 2 or 3 waves of just clean, safe farm. And actually, Naru could be in trouble here in the bot lane. Godbro actually flashes over the wall there. Nice play by him. The second we see that ultimate come out, Godbro just flashes straight over it again and able to pick himself up a 1v1 kill in that mid lane.
Yeah, that was really nice. And Godbro, you know, has been one of the strongest members of SKP in all the games that we've seen them in so far. He has just dominated his lane every time, especially in 1 versus 1 situations. Naru, on the other hand, has not been doing as well in those 1v1s. We've seen actually him lose a lot.
Oh my goodness, he Steelback get caught up by the Death Sentence. There's the Ignite. The Monsoon comes through, but it's not going to be enough, or is it? The last second shield is going to save his life. Padden jumping through. He's not going to get caught by the Piercing Light. In the meantime, we see a kill go down. Godbro picking that one up in the top lane. That's going to be a tower in the top lane as well. But this could open up the Dragon for Dark Passage. Barney D getting caught out here. He's not going to live this one. The Death Sentence just going to secure that for Crystal. But in the meantime, we see SK Prime. They're pushing onto this second tier top lane tower.
That was a crazy series of events. Really nice job by Dark Passage to not completely lose out there. They are managing to get the Dragon, which is definitely really good. That's the first Dragon of the game to go down, actually, which is a surprising fact, considering it's 60 minutes into the game. Normally we see him way earlier than that. But in this top lane, they lost 2 towers, and Elwyn died. And dead Elwyn is not a farming Elwyn. He needs to be farming constantly to hit his late game as soon as possible. Otherwise, you know, if you look at the mid-game team fights here, Elwyn on Jax is not quite as strong as Aurelia was in the previous matchup. Azir needs that late game too. Oh, top lane, there's going to be a Grand Skyfall.
Yeah, Taiki is in a lot of trouble. He does get the repel off, but he's not going to be able to live this one. Oh, flashes! But it's not going to save his life there. The auto attack went through anyway. And Taiki gets taken down and burns the cooldown on his flash.
Yeah, that was not good that he actually flashed there, just taken out by the Phosphorus Bomb as he flashed. But, you know, I was talking about the team compositions a little bit, and basically, the team-fighting team composition of SK Prime is a little bit better earlier on than that of Dark Passage. Elwyn on Jax and Naru on Azir become ridiculously good as the game goes later and later. Elwyn actually trying to come in here and make something happen, but not going to be able to do it. The movement speed from the Barney D's passive, or the Zephyr passive, giving 3%, is really, really strong at getting away in those kinds of situations. Also, Elwyn, no boots yet. How's he going to catch anyone?
No, I'm not sure that he's going to be able to, and I mean, he's just had to go straight for that Triforce, and he's going to jump onto Godbro, but he's underneath the tower. I'm not sure this is a fight that he wants. The Cocoon not quite going to land. Elwyn on his own here in the front line. A nice ultimate from Naru, going to push BMC into the enemy team, but he's so tanky right now. He may survive anyway. No, he doesn't. That's going to be both top laners going down. A 1-for-1 trade here, and both of the top laners right now regretting roaming down, wishing they'd just stayed farming.
Yeah, that was a crazy fight. I'm actually really surprised that Dark Passage did as well as they did. The Sun Disc has a lot of credit to go its way for that, actually. Naru putting that down on the ruins of the outer tower of SK Prime. That deterred Godbro and team from continuing on into that fight when they probably could have snowballed it further. BMC dying versus Elwin dying, though, that's definitely in favor of SK Prime. If Elwin is dead, he's not farming, he's not getting his late game. If BMC's dead, it's not that big a deal. I mean, it's not great, but it's nowhere near as important as Elwin farming. So, not bad. Padden, though, needs to be careful here in the bot lane of Taiki.
If Padden can just kill Taiki before his ally gets here, which he might be able to do, he does! Padden picking that one up. And now we're going to see Crystal coming in. Steelback could be in a lot of trouble. Barney D is here, but he gets caught by the death sentence. Velistraza finally getting that revenge he's been wanting. Padden picking that kill up. And despite that originally being Padden caught out of position, he gets a double kill essentially off that.
Yeah, that was really nice. The 1 versus 1 against Taiki. Taiki did his best to get that cocoon off. You know, he sent his explosive spiderling into the bush first to get vision. He tried everything he could to land the cocoon. Unfortunately, in any fight like that, if the cocoon didn't land, he was gonna die. It didn't land. Godbro, though, getting engaged on the mid lane.
Ooh, a nice knockaway from Godbro. He manages to dodge the hook as well. Is he going to live? Leap Strike should be up any second. That's going to be the flash Q from Naru. He picks up that kill. Now we see Taiki trying to come in and stop whatever is happening, and they look like they might want to go for a counter engage here. BMC coming in, gets the twisted advance onto Meth. That's going to be so much CC, but a lantern at the last second is going to save his life. BMC doesn't have the movement speed to follow up on this one, and really nice play from Dark Passage there, bringing themselves back into this game despite an early deficit.
Taiki needs to be careful not to chase too hard here. He does have the backup from BMC and a few other people. Naru got the Emperor's Divide, going to be able to get to the tower. There's no way they're getting onto that dive. Elwin was probably too low to help out, so had they been able to actually catch Naru there, would have resulted in a kill, but a great Emperor's Divide just blocking off the entrance to the tower. Dark Passage are definitely clawing it back here. Oh,
yeah,
BMC.
Gonna see BMC getting caught out a little bit there. Nice sidestep on the death sentence, so Eye of the Storm gonna come through to block any further damage, but not gonna be able to get away with that red steel that they initially had. Or is he? Oh! Gets it with the sapling! That is so unfortunate for Padden right there.
That is very, very sad. Padden is not going to be happy about that. The red buff would have been really good at helping him do a little bit of extra damage in this fight, stick on targets he needs to, etc. BMC now, they changed red buff in 4.20, so it actually gives you some health regen. And on a tanky guy like BMC, that's actually pretty good, so you know, he's getting a lot out of that.
Yeah, he's not going to be too shabby for him, obviously. When his stuff's on cooldown, he is going to be auto-attacking quite a lot. He's going to flash forward onto Crystal, though. Crystal could be in a lot of trouble there. He is relatively tanky because of that passive, but the culling going to come down. There's the heal. Can he snipe it? Yes, he can. Steelback with the beautifully placed culling. Relentless pursuit to reposition that mid-fight. Really nice play from him.
Yeah, it's actually, Straza had to decide, okay, is Steelback going to, like, try and duck a little bit down here to continue firing, or is he going to stay where he is, expect me to move too quickly? And it was a mind game situation, but Steelback won out in that one, managing to pick off Crystal. Really nice job there. Top lane, though, Elwin, meanwhile, whilst all that was happening, did get the tower, but the dragon is spawning, so there's no teleports on Elwin.
Oh, the cocoon land! Oh my... Whoa! He gets one shot! Godbro does so much damage right now.
Yeah, he really, really does. And actually, I think we should take a minute to talk about Godbro's build. It's fairly unorthodox as far as Jay's builds go recently. He doesn't have a Brutalizer yet. Hasn't rushed the last Whisper.
Padden manages to pick up a counter kill, but Naru in a lot of trouble in this mid lane. He's going to go down. The Ignite going to secure that one. We're going to see both junglers here. Taiki does manage to pick it up, but he goes down for it. So this game is just back and forth.
It's absolutely crazy, and I mean, the build that Godbro's going is actually, I think it makes a lot of sense against this team, especially as it proceeds into the late game, because they don't really have much of a front line. You're not going to need the Last Whisper, and the Brutalizer, because its flat penetration, is useful regardless of whether or not they have a front line, but getting that Hex Drinker to deal with the damage that Naru's pulling out is getting really good. BMC actually getting engaged on the mid lane here. Nothing too much going to come out of that. He does have backup walking towards him in the bot lane. Padden is split pushing so effectively right now. Seems unstoppable. Anyone who tries to come 1v1 him is just dying. Taiki died. You know, if Steelback had tried to actually fight there, he would have died. And 602 is a very scary kill score for that Corki to have if you're SK Prime, you know. He's working on his way to his Infinity Edge. Once he gets that, if Taiki especially jumps in, he is going to get melted.
Yeah, and I mean, we just saw in that Dragon Pit how fast Barney D got dropped by Padden. Just that sheer damage that you get when you get that Trinity Force, and then you get an Infinity Edge on top of that. If you can crit with those Sheen Proc auto attacks, with the 250% crit damage that you get from Infinity Edge, I mean, Barney D against an auto attack like that is going to take at least a third of his HP.
Yeah, it's going to do a lot, so they need to be very careful not to let that happen, you know, if they're on that side. But looking now at the objectives that both teams are going to be trying to secure soon, this bottom tower is the only outer tower left in the game. It's on Dark Passage's side. We see a huge rotation here coming out of SK Prime. They're certainly going to be able to get this. BMC and Elwyn in the top lane just be duking it out. I actually think Elwyn can definitely win a 1v1 against him at this point, so he needs to be careful. Oh, Hook lands on Steelback!
Hook lands on Steelback. That is not the target that SK want that to land on. Barney D does use the monster. Oh, he didn't actually, sorry. But they're not going to be able to save Steelback's life, but we're going to see the man drop come through. This could be devastating for SK. Actually takes a lot of damage though, trying to return that onto Crystal, but Godbro on the front line of Monsoon is going to save his life. Padden trying to do what he can, but we see BMC coming in now. He's trying to get there, but the Emperor's Divide is going to block him out. Padden is eventually going to go down. Velistraza could be the target of a Twisted Advance, but the minion block going to completely ruin that for BMC. Can he get it onto Naru though? Yes, he can. There's Twisted Advance. There's the knockup. Cocoon is going to follow through. He goes down. Taiki picking that one up. And BMC more than happy to tank out that tower, but in the meantime, we see Jax pushing out that top lane.
Yeah, that was a really crazy fight. Elwind actually doesn't have teleport available for a while, so BMC had that advantage. The Grand Skyfall should not have come out from Crystal. There should have been some communication there for Dark Passage where Elwind said, look, I can't come down. Taiki, though, he might get jumped on by Elwind here.
Yeah, Owen trying to follow up on this one, but actually, they're going to turn this one around. There's the accelerated shock blast. It does a lot of damage. The Cocoon not going to come through, though. A nice Dark Passage there by Dark Passage to save the teammate.
Yeah, living up to their name there, but as I was saying before, Crystal should not have Grand Skyfalled in when he knew that BMC could join the fight and Elwyn couldn't. It was a little bit too risky. Also, to be fair, Godbro escaped on a sliver of health due to an excellent Monsoon from Barney D, but because he got away, that was instantly the moment that he got away was the moment that Dark Passage should have backed up, because they knew that he had a decent amount of mana, and Jace from long range with those shock blasts being accelerated is going to hurt you very badly. They were all on low health. They stuck around for too long, and that was a very, overall not a good trade, just getting that top tower in exchange for a kill for Dark Passage.
Yeah, not an incredibly good trade for them. I mean, this is kind of what we've been seeing across this series so far. I mean, the gold is incredibly close. We've only got a 3,000 gold lead right now, and it's been sort of teetering around that 2,000-3,000 gold lead mark for most of the game. SK are looking incredibly strong, but these last fights, sort of the last 3 fights in fact, haven't looked too convincing. They've been incredibly close fights.
Yeah, I mean, really what needs to happen for SKP if they want to do well in these fights is to not have Steelback get caught. He instantly died there. He couldn't provide any support for his team at all. Thankfully for them, BMC had teleport now when didn't, otherwise that fight would look very different. But as we move further into the late game, the Jax Azir combo is going to be really disgusting. We see the Blade of the Ruined King being picked up now for Elwind. He's got 2 of his big items. He's working on some, he kind of needs to get the tier 2 boots soon, in my opinion. He needs to be able to stick on people, and at the moment, champions like Taiki's Elise are just running around him when he tries to pick him off, so it's a weird decision that he hasn't gone for that yet. Obviously, he does get some movement speed from the Trinity Force and the movement speed boost active from the Blade of the Ruined King, but he needs to pick that up so he can deal with stuff like the fact that they have a Janna, they get extra movement speed, the fact that they've got a Jace acceleration gate is ridiculous for disengaging. Once he does that, once he's able to stick onto people, maybe by picking up a Randuin's as well, at that point, things definitely start to turn back the way of Dark Passage. That's when their composition really starts to show an edge that they can exploit against SK Prime.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to be able to get any of that going. SK Prime are going to be scouted out by that Scuttle Crab. Really, really strong feature in this new map. And I mean, that Scuttle Crab regularly showing how powerful it is. That 1.5 minute undestroyable ward is just so strong. And actually, we're going to see the Grand Skyfall come through. It's not taken, but it is. Taiku manages to get the smite at the last second. Balistraza on this front line gets very, very low, but we're going to see Elwin jumping in, doing a lot of damage. The Counter-Strike stuns up a few people. A really nice Emperor's Divide, but it's not going to be enough. Barney D on this backline doing absolute work for his team, CCing everyone up. Taiku gonna flash forwards for that one. He's not quite going to be able to follow the sun up, but Barney D gets taken down. The turnaround damage from Padden is absolutely huge, and Naru with the support soldier there popping him up, and it's a 3 for 3 overall, but SK managed to take the dragon.
Yeah, actually, that fight could have gone Dark Passage's way, I think. When Crystal jumped in with the Grand Skyfall, he didn't even try to use any of his spells. He just wanted that dragon. He walked straight to it, tried to get the smite, died before he could do anything. Had he Grand Skyfall with the intention of locking someone up to kill, Dark Passage definitely could have came up on top in that fight. So, you know, maybe not the best decision-making here coming out of Dark Passage. It's a very high-pressure situation. Obviously, if they lose this game, they are out of the Black Monster Cup. They will not be making it to the finals. But there's still a ways to go before that happens. It's only 2.4k gold in it. It's been an exciting game so far, Munch.
It hasn't. I mean, this is exactly what I was talking about before. This game, despite how many team fights we're seeing, despite how explosive this match has been, we're staying around that 2,000, 3,000 gold difference, and SK are just managing to edge it out. Interesting pickup by Barney D. He's going for that Medjai Soul Stealer. Now, that item got changed recently. They changed it so that it starts with 5 stacks, but instead of only losing 1/3 of the stacks when you die, you lose half of the stacks. So it's incredibly hard now, unless you have pretty much a flawless game, to maintain those stacks.
I mean, Janna is the champion that we see it being bought on most frequently. Pretty much exclusively, to be honest. The reason for that is because a good Janna player pretty much never dies. She's got so many disengage tools, and she's so fast, that quite frequently you see games where Janna never dies. However, this game is not one of those games. He is caught out by a lot of hooks, by a lot of different forms of CC, and because he's quite squishy, he's been annihilated very quickly by the high damage team of Dark Passage. You know, normally, if you're against a sort of more balanced composition, it works a bit better because tanks can't kill you so quick. Hang on, though, we might see an engagement here.
Yeah, we're going to see the engagement. Barney D starting that one off with the Frost Queens, but now we're going to see a nice Emperor's Divide going to stop BMC jumping onto that backline. A good Cocoon lands onto Padden, though, but neither of these teams wanting to quite fully commit to this, and Taiki could be in trouble. Elwin jumps in, managed to get a 2-man Counter-Strike down. That's going to be the man drop, picks up 1 kill. It's 1 for 1 so far. Beansu on this front line, he is so tanky right now, but a nice Shock Blast is going to do a lot of damage to Balistraza. Can they finish that one off? Yes, they can. That's going to be a kill for the AD carry. Beansu escaping on 10 HP, but Padden is able to jump forwards with the Valkyrie and pick that one up now. Godbro on the front line takes so much damage from Padden. That's going to be a double kill for him. Doesn't have Valkyrie to jump forwards. Is he going to be able to follow this one up? Doesn't get the speed boost from that Shrine. Naru as well trying to follow on this one, but DP has arrived. Crystal jumps over with a nice ward to give him vision. Now Padden Valkyrie's forwards. There's the rocket. Going to be able to pick that one up with his Gatling gun. And Dark Passage finally take a fight that they've been needing so badly. 4 for 1.
That was crazy. I think we're really starting to see why Azir has been picked or banned in so many amateur matches recently. That Emperor's Divide was ridiculous at the beginning of the fight. It basically gave them a base. That's how good it was, because you couldn't enter that jungle entrance, and you also would have to go all the way underneath and flash over the wall if you wanted to get to those 2 guys. Naru could do whatever he wanted and just back away to it. Obviously, allies can actually walk through that wall, whereas enemies cannot. They can't even dash through it. They have to blink over it. So really nice wall there at the beginning of the fight coming out of Naru. And then as the fight progressed, we saw just how good the combination of Naru and Padden was. They were kiting so well. Valkyrie and Shifting Sands are great tools for kiting backwards, and then as soon as they saw an opportunity to turn around, the long-range Phosphorus Bomb plus the ability Conquering Sands, that's the one, the Q from Azir, just sniped someone down. Godbro was practically full health and in the duration of one stun from Pantheon, died. It was crazy. They just turned things around so quickly. 12 for 1 for 4 on Padden. Dark Passage actually look in a really good spot this game, especially because it's going later and they've got the Jax and Azir combination on their team.
Yeah, and I mean, Padden giving Steelback's Corki a run for its money right now. The 12-1-4, he is absolutely huge. He's finished his last Whisper and got an extra BF sword to boot with that. I really feel like right now, SK need to not force these engagements like they are. They have a Jace on their team who is decently fed. He's got his last Whisper along with 3 other damage items. If they can just poke it out a little bit more before the fight starts, there is no sustain on the side of Dark Passage.
Yeah, I actually think it would be really good for them to utilize Godbrow's poke a little bit better. They need to actually land some Shock Blast before they go in, purely because of the fact that Padden and Nazir can kite for days. They've also got the box to help them. Elwind has been like a non-factor so far in these fights, and SKP still lost that last one. Elwind jumped in, died straight away. All he did was land like a stun that actually didn't save anyone, didn't save himself, didn't save his allies, didn't let him do any damage. They still lost the fight. They need to poke down Dark Passage first, because at this point, Dark Passage is starting to pull ahead in raw teamfight strength.
Yeah, and I mean, as we head towards this late game, we're going to see that continue. Elwind will become an absolute monster if they can get towards that 40-minute mark when he starts to get some defensive items as well. He's got the Trinity Force and the Blade of the Rune King. Those are all of the damage items that a Jax needs. I mean, once you get to that point, you can pretty much one-shot squishies on your own. It is such a powerful combo.
Oh, Taiki!
Taiki getting caught out. That's going to be the stun going down. He's going to be able to walk away, but Belistraza on this front line. He's going to get taken down by the Culling. Godbro finishing that one off with a Shock Blast now. Barney D trying to escape, and a nice Cocoon is going to save him. No, it's not. Padden manages to pick that one up with the Sheen auto attack and the big rocket. So it's a 1-for-1 support for support right there.
Yeah, and I'd actually argue that that's a better trade for Dark Passage, because the Barney D is providing so much when it comes to stopping Elwind from jumping on the backline and killing someone, same with Crystal, whereas Velastraza, he's kind of just helping out an already good disengagement coming out of Padden and Naru. So Barney D is necessary, Velastraza is icing on the cake. That's the way I'd describe their disengaging roles in this game. And when you trade them, it means that Dark Passage can apply a lot more pressure than they otherwise would be able to, because the Monsoon isn't available, the Howling Gale isn't there, the movement speed isn't there, etc.
And I think another thing as well is you've got to think of the value of killing each player as well. With that, the Jai Soul Sealer, not only do you get value on your team, but you essentially just steal gold from the Barney D when he dies. And especially, the more stacks he has, the more gold you're essentially stealing from him, because obviously he loses those stacks, loses a lot of the throughput, and Taiki taking a massive amount of damage, and this is that Azir Corki combo that we keep harping on about.
Yeah, that was actually a really nifty bait coming out of Dark Passage. Padden looked like he was alone, but actually Nara was there. One Arise auto attack Conquering Sands combination did 20% of Taiki's health or something like that. It was huge amounts. And Azir, we haven't talked about his itemization yet. Interestingly, he hasn't gone for too much cooldown reduction. He's decided to just go for that Morellonomicon. But he has also got a Void Staff and a Zanya's. He is doing a lot of damage right now, and that's without buying big damage items. He hasn't gone for that death cap yet. Once he does, I am seriously scared for SK Prime.
Yeah, that is going to just give him so much throughput on those Sand Soldiers. Actually, a nice Cullen coming out. Whoa! A lot of damage in the flash forward. Steelback managed to pick up a really nice 1v1 kill for himself. And this could open up a big opportunity for SK Prime right now. That was a lot of their wave clear, and BMC flashing forwards. Padden gets one shot, another kill coming in on Steelback. He flashes forwards onto Velistraza. Can he pick up the kill? He has the vision, the slow is there. That's going to be a double kill coming through. The TP channeled to defend this top lane, completely negating the split push from Elwind. This is going to be an inhibitor tower going down for SK Prime, and out of nowhere, they're suddenly on top of the game again.
What just happened? Dark Passage looked like they were starting to get to a really good place, and suddenly it all fell apart. Losing that inhibitor has just put a long amount of time onto the end of this game if Dark Passage want to win it. It's going to be so hard for Jax to split push when there are Superman ninjas barreling down the mid lane. Crystal gonna try and steal this Baron though.
He's coming in. Can he get it? No, he can't. The man drop is too late. He's gonna go down. And he just adds insult to injury for his team right there, trying to get the hero steal, but it ends up going the wrong way.
That just put even more of a nail in the coffin. I mean, obviously Dark Passage aren't out of it yet, but when your Crystal, or when your Pantheon dives in like that, oh no, Elwin, if he gets caught here, this is really bad. Naru's nearby though. They might turn off Godbro,
Elwin
actually.
could turn this around potentially. He has the counter-strike. No, he can't. I lied completely.
Yeah.
Godbro does so much damage, and this is going to be Naru in a lot of trouble. The culling is going to come through here. He doesn't have enough damage, or does he? The turret goes down. Barney D is going to be just fine. I mean, he's Janna after all. He's going to be able to survive that one. And now they're heading towards his bot lane.
Things are really starting to get scary for Dark Passage. They were in a really good spot, but just Naru getting caught out snowballed into such an advantage for SK Prime. They could potentially siege this all the way down to the inhibitor with this Baron buff, obviously giving their minions so much sieging potential. Look, BMC, look at how tanky he is. He's just tanking up this inhibitor tower. What are you doing for Dark Passage? You've got to do something right now. But two of your members are dead. You're going to lose your second inhibitor. Dark Passage are looking like they're on the ropes here.
The biggest issue is they need to fight right now, but they can't fight. If they fight, they just lose. So, I mean, what do you even do in this scenario? They've now fallen 8,000 gold behind, and they were so close, and then just one little misplay, and it all just falls apart.
Yeah, I mean, it's really unfortunate that just having a stronger late game composition doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the late game. Obviously, there's room for skill and there's room for error, and that mistake by Naru where he got caught out in the mid lane just put them so far behind. Elwin needs to be careful getting caught out again here.
And again, we're going to see this Godbro versus Elwin 1v1. Naru is here though. Godbro taking a lot of damage. That's going to be the leap strike back on from Elwin. The culling comes through. It's not quite going to be able to pick up that kill though. Naru now trying to get away. The man drop comes through. It's not cancelled though. I'm surprised that wasn't cancelled. Taiki on this front line is going to repel in. There's a stun coming through, but the shot blast do so much damage.
No.
Naru now getting stunned up by a really nice cocoon. The death sentence onto BMC. But you really don't want BMC any closer to you right now, Velestraza. He's looking for the twisted advance. Can he find it? He gets onto Padden. That's going to be the knockup. The rest of the team follows through. Padden goes down. Elwin trying to do what he can, but he's just not tanky enough right now. That's going to be a double kill. Triple kill comes through for Godbro. They're trying to find the quadra onto Velestraza. Can they get it? The shot glass comes through, but it's not quite going to be enough. But this should be the game coming through for SK Prime, and they look incredibly strong in the minute.
And they're going to be going through to the finals of the Black Monster Cup. Their opponents have yet to be decided, obviously. H2K versus Millennium will be played early next week. But I have to say, SK Prime look really freaking strong right now. They dominated in Game 1, and just, they didn't give away unnecessary